Hi, I'm Rhiannon Bevan from The Gamer, and I am here today with the actor Alex Jordan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Now, you've been a lot of games, too many to name here, but today we are talking about The Alters.
Yes.
For the benefit of anyone that hasn't heard about it yet or seen the trailer, could you just introduce us to The Alters and your very unique roles in this?
Yes, so The Alters is a base building, resource gathering, survival narrative game. It's got a bit of everything from 11-bit Studios, who made Frostpunk and This War of Mine. So anyone who is familiar with that will know they are games with a strong message, meaning, games that'll make you think. And we're doing something pretty cool and pretty special with The Alters. I play a character called Jan Dolsky, who is sent on this mission to retrieve Rupidium, which is a previously kind of theorized element, and he finds it, but he has crash landed and all of the rest of his crew are dead. So in order to survive and escape the planet, he has to use this element. The reason they were sent out to find it was because it's basically cultivates growth rapidly. So he has to use it to create alternate versions of himself, but not direct clones. Say he needs one who can fix something on the ship, a technician. He creates a technician version, but in order to do that, he has to create them from a branching point where they go off in different directions. So it's a one-man trapped on an alien planet with multiple versions of himself, all asking themselves the question of what if? And what if you hadn't done that? How would your life be different? How is my life different? Are there things that you did that I regret not doing? So you're going to be asked a lot of deep questions in this game, and I don't think anything has been done like it before in video games. Genuinely, I can't think of another game that has one actor playing all these roles.
Am I right in thinking you are the only actor in this? Now,
I'm the only actor playing Jan. There are some other voice actors in there.
But I imagine that means it was a very long, because I know acting obviously in games can be quite a solitude experience, but I imagine even more so with this. So I imagine the direction you got was probably even more vital than ever, if that's correct.
100%. Damien Goodwin, who has been voice directing on this, has been phenomenal, and it's been really important to have one director. Sometimes with video games you can have a couple of directors, 2, 3, 4. It really varies. To have Damien on this throughout, start to finish, I can't imagine how this would have been done without that. You need someone who is that sort of constant. And we've also had Tomek, who is the game director, and Kasia, who is the lead writer. They've been on every single call. If not both of them, at least one of them. So we've always had them there. We've done genuinely hundreds of hours in the booth now, hundreds of hours. And it's always a solitary thing. You go in, you record your lines. Occasionally, if you're lucky, the other actor has recorded theirs before you and you get to kind of react to that. But in this situation, it's literally been me stood in a dark room, just talking to myself for hundreds of hours.
Do you get to hear yourself talk back to you?
Yes, it's super, super helpful actually. So the first run through we'll do, we tend to do the alters first, and then the one that I call Base Jan, which is the character you play as. We tend to do the alters first, and then we'll go back and do the scenes again from the side of Base Jan. And it just makes it, because Base Jan is the closest just to my voice. He's basically just me, but doing an American accent. So, we go back and do it all from that side, because it's just really easy to react supernaturally, so, yeah.
And I'm really curious about Jan. Is it more accurate to say you're playing multiple characters, or is this multiple layers of the same character and it all forms one character?
This is so interesting, because I'm going to give you such a non-answer, which is it's both. It's genuinely both. We have to have all the Jans have to believably feel like they have come from the same. The example I like to use is tree trunk. But they're all different branches off the same tree trunk. So they have to believably sound similar enough that you believe that, they have the same core person, but different enough that you believe that they all have different lives and have lived different lives and different experiences that have shaped them, molded them. But also so that when they talk together on screen, it's not confusing which one is suddenly talking. If they were all just the same Jan voice, then you'd be like, wait, okay, hold on, which one am I talking to now? So we've got also, we've taken some slight some stylistic choices that we made. So some of the yarns will have different regional accents in America from one another. And that's mainly because it helps differentiate them, yes, but also a voice is a very handy way to understand a personality in a short space of time. If you hear a certain type of voice, you immediately make assumptions about their personality, you know? You immediately kind of hear and you go, oh, okay, this guy is the sort of the bit more world-weary. This guy is the one who's a bit more like feisty, and, you know, so different accents can help with that, different tones. So, yeah, we've made some stylistic choices, but it's always with a view of like serving the character and serving the player to understand immediately, this is that yarn, this is the guy that I've made. Okay.
And it sounds like, because I spoke to a lot of actors before, and something that's perhaps not so much of a problem now, or is sometimes, but was definitely an issue in the past, is that a lot of gigs don't give you a lot of transparency of what you're doing. It sounds 100%. Like it's the exact opposite here.
This has been so far removed from that. So it's very, very common practice for you to sign an NDA and have absolutely no idea what you're auditioning for, and then often don't really know what you're actually in until it comes out, and often you're not even told when it comes out, and you're like, oh, what's going on? The industry is getting better at that generally over the last, you know, sort of year or so. I think in particular we've seen a big change. We've had Baldur's Gate 3, you know, Neil, Deb, Jen, those guys, super front-facing. Larian have seen how, you know, the game can benefit from that. Ben Starr with Final Fantasy. And one thing I always say is that right now we're living in a time of video games where a game can come out and it can dominate the social space for 2 weeks, and then the next thing comes out, it's gone entirely. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy how fast it changes. So I think a lot of studios are starting to understand that actors can actually be really beneficial to help the social shelf life of a game continue on, engaging with the community, creating, you know, content online that's like, it's free marketing, you know, as long as the actors are brought in on it and they understand, you know, what they are allowed to talk about, what they're not allowed to talk about. And 11-bit have been right from the get-go, just like sign the NDA, immediately was given the game Bible. It's like, wow. This is the game, this is what's happening. Because I mean, like, more so, I've done over, I think it's around 70 video games now, more than any other. This one is so heavily dependent on the actor understanding absolutely everything. So the first one where the voice acting itself almost feels like a mechanic in the game. It actually has to serve a mechanical purpose. So they gave me everything. And then the final audition round, there was 3 of us, and it was down to 3 of us to do a final audition round, which was, for each of us, a 4-hour workshop. And we just sat around a table with some microphones, and we spitballed, and we came up with some ideas, we came up with some voices, and we just recorded them, and we'd be sat there having a chat, and I would just go, hold that thought, what you just said has given me an idea, I'm just going to go for a take, and we'd do a take, and then we'd sit there and go, was that what you were thinking? And, you know, they'd go, brilliant, love it, but I'm not sure about this, maybe we can change this about the vocal quality. So basically we did a 4-hour workshop where I think it was important for them to see that not only were they hiring an actor who could do the small nuanced change stuff with the voice to differentiate them, but also would be a collaborator.
Yeah.
And would not just be a passive, you know, what do you want me to do? You know, what's this? But would have choices to make about the character and to bring to each one.
That's really interesting. Having spoken to a few of the Baldur's Gate 3 cast, that's exactly what they did. You know, yeah. Acting was at the forefront of that for 4 years in some of their cases. This might be a bit too hopeful, but do you hope that in a post-Baldur's Gate 3 world, especially with, you know, now the Alters doing the same thing, and obviously actors taking industrial action, are we going to start seeing actors kind of treated more as a collaborator rather than come in, do your bit?
I really think so. I really think so. We're seeing, you know, so many voice actors. My dear friend Doug Cockle, love Doug Cockle. Doug is finally getting his flowers for Geralt. He, you know, Geralt came through at a time when no one knew the voice actors really. But, you know, then we started to see, you know, Troy and Ashley in The Last of Us and stuff. You know, it started to become a thing. But when The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt in particular, when it really just blew up, no one knew who the voice actor was. You know, it wasn't really talked about, it wasn't really celebrated, it wasn't really, you know, didn't have a light shone on it. Doug right now is going through like such a great time, and I'm so happy for him. You know, all these cons and people want to meet him and stuff. And I really, really think studios are genuinely, truly starting to see. Other media forms have known for ages that actors love doing what they do, and that's a side we can share with the community. And it's only beneficial for them. It's
for everyone.
Yeah, it's beneficial for them. It's beneficial for the actor. You know, it helps you get more work further down the line. Everyone wins when the actors are brought on board and told, "Here's what you can and can't talk about. Please share your love of the game," because the communities love it. So yeah,
it does feel like we've come a long way then. Because I remember sitting at a panel with the Halo cast, and they were like, "Oh, how do you feel when you've got the role?" They're like, "I found out I got the role like in Halo 2 came out." You know, like, they were like, "Oh, they had their kids playing it." And we're like, "Oh, I'm in that.
Yeah.
Cool."
Yeah.
You know, so it does feel like hopefully we're coming a long way.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Now to look at your other roles, you mentioned Baldur's Gate. Now, you are known for a particular role in Baldur's Gate. Let's say the romance noises.
Yep.
I have heard a bit about how it was done. I actually have also spoke to the people on like all sides of it, like people who did other voice acting for it, the people, the interview coordinators, and the mocap team. For the benefit of anyone who isn't aware, what was your role in Baldur's Gate 3? Look dead in the camera.
Just before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, I was asked if I wanted to come into the studio at a studio called Molyneux, where they were doing some final little bits to the game, and I said yes, obviously, but Baldur's Gate 3 is very soon to release, so surely this can't be a character. How does this make sense? And I was told that, oh, thanks for saying yes, so now that you've said yes, we would like you to come in and make sex noises.
Terrific, right? So, you know, I'm in heaven.
So I went in and kissed the back of my hand as people stared at me through a pane of glass, and I had to close my eyes so that I couldn't see them watching me out the corner of it, you know? So that was my role.
Did you have an interview coordinator on set, or was it just because it wasn't...
This one, it was an issue one because it wasn't so... Because it's not like a specific scene where I have to physically act anything out. It wasn't really as necessary, and they were super like, look, if are you comfortable with this? If you're not comfortable with it, totally understand. And they did allow me to kind of have a bit of control in the studio and kind of go like, do you right to go for another one? You don't have to do another one, you know. And I get it, it's part of the job, and it's at the end of the day, it's funny.
You're in Baldur's Gate 3, you can say that.
Yeah, do you know what? It's the one where like, I haven't put it on my spotlight or anything. I haven't put it on my IMDb.
I saw you kind of reluctantly put it on your Twitter cover picture.
Yeah. People were saying like, what about the sex noises in Baldur's Gate 3? So I updated it. My Twitter banner is like loads of the characters that I played in video games and cartoons, and I just updated it so it has in brackets at the bottom, and the sex noises in Baldur's Gate 3. There, are you happy now?
Well, I mean, that's a community that, like, they have just been eager for anything about that game. Like,
yeah.
I've not seen anything pack out a convention
it's
like
absolutely
that has.
Crazy. I mean, Neil is just non-stop, man, non-stop. And I mean, happy birthday to Neil. It was his birthday the other day.
Oh, happy birthday, Neil.
Like, he was out at a con, for his birthday, and he's just non-stop around the world, man. It's crazy.
It's like they all kind of, I think they came household names. They came household names, very nerdy households. There's a lot. So.
I mean, Neil, it's amazing, right? Because so many people are like, oh my God, it's starting. Neil has been doing phenomenal work for so long, man.
In mocap and...
Yeah. Just the most awesome work. So although he was already, again, getting his flowers, it's great to see him really get his flowers right now.
That's just great to see, like, on the whole. But I guess to wrap it up, I'm trying not to dwell on the kissing noises too much, but is that an aspect of, as games kind of show more of those scenes? Baldur's Gate 3 had a lot, but obviously it wasn't the first. Witcher had a lot of romance scenes as well. Is that an aspect of the job that's just going to increase? Are you game to do that again? I'm game to do that again. There's a game coming up which has some romance stuff. And I do a little bit of that again, But this time I have a character to go along with it. Like, hey. I say many, 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 many other words. Quite a few. Yes. Thousands of lines. Thank you so much for your time. Pleasure. Thank you very much. Cheers.